a right lass. You know that, don't you? And she's got a big bruise on her shin." Bonnie stared at her father. She wanted to say that she was glad about the bruise, but she knew that would upset her da. But she didn't understand why he always stuck up for her grandma. Well, not always, she corrected herself, but a lot of the time. And yet her da didn't like her grandma any more than she did. She knew this to be true, even though her da had never said such a thing, the same way as she knew her grandma hated her da, even when she was being civil to him. "I think you ought to go and say you're sorry, Hinny, don't you?" As soon as the words had left his lips, John knew he should have put it differently rather than inviting her opinion. Sure enough, Bonnie glared at him. "No, I don't. She's nasty, spiteful, and she only kicked the dog because she'd had a barney with Franco earlier. I heard them when I got there, but they stopped when they saw me. She was saying he'd stayed out half the night and she wasn't having him carrying on any more." "What did she mean? Carrying on?" John stood up. He had a good idea what Margarita had been in a lather about. Franco had a roving eye, and some of the silly young lasses who came to the fair didn't have the sense they were born with. "That's not our business, Bonnie." "Well, that's why she kicked Miss Nelly's dog anyway." "Be that as it may, you can't go around kicking folk because they might behave differently to how you think they should. You're nearly 10 years old, you're not a babby who doesn't know any better." "I don't kick everyone. I've only kicked me grandma." Violet blue eyes that were dark with righteous indignation declared more eloquently than words that Bonnie felt hard done by. Realising that he needed to take a different tack if some semblance of peace was going to be restored between the child and her grandmother, John scooped his daughter up into his arms. "Say sorry to her for me, lass, all right? Your grandma's all upset, and it'll make things better. I know you don't want to, but do it for your old da, eh, Hinny?" Bonnie's body was as stiff as a board for another moment, and then she relaxed, thin arms winding round his neck. Her voice soft against his bristled cheek, she whispered, "All right, da. But she's not upset like you mean. She's just angry that she got a taste of her own medicine for once." It was so on the ball that John had to bite his lip to stop from smiling. Cute as a cartload of monkeys his bairn was, and with a way of cutting through all the flannel. "That's a good lass." He held her close for a moment before bending down and setting her on her feet. "Go on, do it now. Better to get it over with." Bonnie gave him a wan smile. They were standing in a field that held the big tent with the platform inside for the acrobats, jugglers and other acts, and this was surrounded by booths and stalls and smaller tents. A second field, a short distance away, was dotted with the wooden living wagons of the fairground community, smoke rising into the warm May air from a number of campfires and buzzing with the sounds of women, talking, laughing and sometimes arguing, children playing, dogs barking, babies crying and horses whinnying. She began to make her way towards the wagons, but had only gone a few steps when her father called after her, "And say it like you mean it, mind." She stopped for a moment, her thin shoulders slumping, and then straightened and walked on. But not before a long and heartfelt sigh had caused her small chest to rise and fall. Margarita Falario watched her granddaughter coming towards her. She'd seen her son-in-law pick the child up and then the way Bonnie had hugged her father, and it had done nothing to dampen her fury. At 54 years of age, Margarita looked much older, but then all the fair women did. It was a hard life. Besides looking after their children, doing all the washing by hand with water heated on open fires and emptied into big wooden barrels, cooking meals, gathering anything edible from the hedgerows.